Tonight on Newshub Live at 6, the All Blacks are no longer number one. Steve Hansen says Ireland's taken over. US Vice President Mike Pence's veiled advice to Pacific Island nations: don't get in debt to China.
Donald Trump visits the devastated town of Paradise and calls it pleasure instead. And how to experience New Zealand's great outdoors without leaving your home. That's coming up at 6. Kia ora, good evening. Ashburton locals watched in shock this afternoon as a tornado tore through the area. The unusual sight was recorded by many panicked motorists who were trapped on the roads as the towering column of air came hurtling towards them. Laura Tupou has the story.
This is a New Zealand scene of Hollywood proportions.
I was pretty much screaming to my dad to drive faster and to get out of there, because the only time I've seen something like that has been on the movies, and that never went well.
Motorists just north of the Canterbury town of Ashburton left stunned and horrified as the nearby paddock started swirling with dust just after 4 p.m. The tornado-esque column of dirt making a direct...
In the news ahead, how Whangarei's homeless helped build their own day shelter. A protester is killed and 47 injured during angry protests in France against rising fuel prices.
And how to experience New Zealand's great outdoors without leaving the house.
When I first saw Emily's body in the morgue, as a father, was that there's nothing I can do about this.
How do you ever deal with this, even now on a daily basis?
There were other people here who needed me to support them, so you just find a way.
Catch you in the AM tomorrow.
Up next, Aussies and Kiwis defy gravity on Australian Ninja Warrior. Then beyond darkness lies the fantastic, our Sunday blockbuster, Fantastic Four. And late to the party, catch up an hour later on 3+1. All the thrills on 3.
And next over on 3 Life, wrestling a saltwater crocodile, wrangling a deadly taipan and milking a funnel web spider, all in a day's work in the wildlife of Tim Faulkner. Whatever you love about life, there's something for you over on 3 Life. Freeview Channel 11, Sky Channel 29.
Welcome back. In France, one protester has been killed and another 47 injured during angry protests against rising fuel prices. Police lobbed tear gas canisters at demonstrators on the Champs-Élysées in Paris as groups tried to make their way to the palace of President Emmanuel Macron. French officials say more than 100,000 protesters were involved in around 2,000 separate demonstrations around the country. Homelessness is being seen as a big city problem, but it's increasingly common in our smaller urban centres. Here's Lydia Lewis on how one community is tackling the issue.
Rough stuff to them. Bridget Grace, Newshub.
Super Sport Sunday is here after the break, but first Alex is here with the weather and a bit of everything today.
Yes, as mentioned earlier, a tornado tore through Ashburton, while those in Dunedin got a big dose of hail this afternoon. But despite the wintry weather in the south, we actually saw some lovely temperatures in the north. This is all going to change tomorrow. I'll have those details a bit later on.
And coming up in Super Sports Sunday, more on Ireland's victory over the All Blacks in Dublin, and also a loss for the Black Ferns as 2 legends are farewelled in France.
And the Black Caps give themselves a fighting chance of beating Pakistan in Abu Dhabi.
His performance reignited. And now, here's Newshub Sport.
Good evening, this is Super Sports Sunday. Well, the world champion All Blacks and Black Ferns have been handed a dose of reality.
Yes, our women's team lost to France for the first time ever, while across the Celtic Sea, the ABs were outplayed by Ireland. And that's left Steve Hansen to label the men in green favourites for next year's World Cup in Japan.
Well, not surprisingly, Irish coach and fellow Kiwi Joe Schmidt's not having a bar of that claim, despite his team's stunning 16-9 victory in Dublin this morning. Our rugby reporter Ross Carl was there.
The Guinness flowed
could yet earn another opportunity in the future.
Well, still ahead on Super Sports Sunday, with calls for boxing to be banned, we look at the positive impact the sport is having at the amateur level in New Zealand.
And we promise that you won't be able to get our moments of the week out of your head.
The tragic death of family man Kane Parsons during a charity event in Christchurch this month has led the New Zealand Medical Association to call for a ban on boxing.
As a result, amateur clubs are working hard to distance themselves from corporate fight nights, making clear to Christina Eddy the positive impact they're having on communities right across the country.
Oh, Andrew. Maybe you should just stay off social media.
I don't know. That's a big honour from Craig with the tweet of the week. I must point out, though, that it was actually Melissa's fiancé, Casper, who brought that Park Life clip to my attention. So thanks, Casper, for that.
Yes, it's been played a number of times in my household.
You've been humming it all night, actually. Yeah. Well, Alex is in now with the weather, and it's going to be a crazy old ride for the rest of the week.
Yeah, we're actually expecting snow in the far south tomorrow, which is really uncommon for this time of the year. We're really on the cusp of summer, but we do have a snow warning out tonight for parts of Otago, Clutha and Southland. The far south is certainly going to get a taste of winter tomorrow. I'll have the details right after the break.
As the days get longer, arrive home to a fresher, more comfortable home. Fujitsu, proudly bringing you the weather.
Fujitsu.
Kia ora. Well, the weather's going to be a bit messy tomorrow as there is quite a lot of activity over the country. As you can see, a number of fronts are sweeping northwards, spreading cold air into most places. In the far south, and the isobars are really squeezing up. Now, that shows a strong and cold southeast flow, and this is what's going to bring the snow and rain. So a cool night for those in the South Island with snow around the far south and southern Canterbury. Tomorrow, just watch for that southwesterly. It is going to make things cold. So, across the Tasman, and our neighbours are faring a lot better, although a very muggy day in Adelaide with rain and a high of 35 degrees. The islands should also have a mainly fine start to the week. Lucky them, Samoa just picking up a few showers. Well, back here, and the wet weather isn't going anywhere quickly. Northern areas could get some heavy falls on Wednesday, and showers for everyone here as well. Thankfully, temperatures will gradually start to warm back up, but it's still going to be quite nippy. Wellington managing to climb to just 16 and 17 degrees. In the south end, it's going to be cold and showery for the top of the island, although western areas are going to get some sunshine. Those further down the island also have a few more grey days ahead, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. That's something to look forward to because tomorrow is looking a bit wintry. So keep an eye on the forecast and be safe out there.
Thank you, Alex. That's Newshub Live at 6 for today.
Join the AM team from 6 tomorrow, and you can get in touch with us at news@newshub.co.nz. I'm Tom McRae.
And I'm Melissa Davies, and now it's Australian Ninja Warrior.